Hey, I thought I would take this morning to show you how to mix some colors for a Gerber Daisy. Isn't that gorgeous? This was in my Mother's Day bouquet for my kids. And there's this bright orange as well. Wow, it's more orange in real life, but it looks red on the camera. But it is a fiery orange. But I love the contrast. I love the contrast of this blush peach pink and then the darker pink and then kind of a peachy pink. And then there's little stamens, I guess, of yellow, and then the black center. So what I wanted to talk about was mixing colors. And I have this palette here. It's one I use this brand a lot. And it's a good basic primary colors. And so I wanted to show you, get a piece of scrap paper. How to start with a palette. I want to show you how to start with a palette to have your colors ready to go and mixed. Sorry about that light. And just it's kind of fun because it's fun to paint straight out of here, but you can see there's nothing on this palette that matches this blush pink. So I want to play with it a little bit, get my palette wet, and start with this pink, get it wetter, and put it here. And you can see it is so much brighter than this. So it needs to be toned down a lot. And this almost has some, like I said, some orangey peaches. So I'm also going to I'll lay that right there. Put some orange on there. And let's play with these colors. I want to add a little bit of gray to both of them to tone them down. And see, that's really brown and muddy. I don't like that at all. So it's not getting peachy. Let's add some yellow to it. I'm going to take a little bit of that to add to this pink. And you can see how that's warming it up. And it's toning that color down. It's very peachy. Let's see what it looks like on the paper. So it's still pretty orange, but it's really close. Let me get that there. You can see it's pretty close to these outside petals. So I'm going to stick with that. I like it. So remember, I started with the fuchsia, hot pink, whatever you want to call it. And then this is a bright yellow with some gray. And we decided that was too muddy. So I added some more yellow. And then I'm bringing some of that back over into this pink to tone it down to this peachy pink. Is that a color? Peachy pink. So let's try that one here. I still like this one better. So I think it still needs some yellow, some of that yellow mix. And I want to water it down to make it more pastel. And I'm using a little bit of the white. There we go. Now that doesn't look like that, but on paper, I'm still missing that peachiness. I'm just going to go with some straight yellow, but you don't want it too orangey. Okay. Well, I got it too orange. See how fun it is to just play as you add different colors with it, and then start getting, I want to get it back to that pink. because it's going to orange. And we want pink. We want that blush that I had right here. There we go. So I don't use, personally, my color mixing is kind of playing with it. You can get the color wheel out and play with that. And you might do better with that if it just scares you. But I think it's fun to just, since you know the basic primary colors and how to make colors from those colors. So we got back to that peachy color by taking a pink, adding some yellows, grays, and a little bit of white. So now let's go for that pink, the pink right here. So I'll start with the hot pink again and some white, and we're bringing it down, toning it down, trying to match this color right here in the center. So let's see what that looks like on paper. That's pretty close. I'm happy with it. Now the chocolate brown, I'm not worried about that, mixing that, and then a yellow. I would probably just use this yellow mix in here for the yellow, that little yellow circle right there. So let's try it. Let's paint on this and let's see what we come up with. I'm not going to take this down. I'm just going to go with it. Let me move this palette back a little bit to the right. Sorry. Okay. Still have our flower. Still have our color. And let's go for it. So there's a lot. You can see there's a lot of rows of petals. So I'm just going to start doing it in thirds and fifths, and then fill in, fill in, fill in. Actually, I'm going to start with that center. I take that back. So we get a chocolatey brown. Chocolate right there. And this is just to get a start, get our proportions. So a square would be nice here, but I'm going to use this rectangle. I've been messy today. Okay, so let's start here. Hi, Tara. Good to see you, sweetie. And I'm leaving some of that white. And it looks pretty sheer and pastel right now, but I'll come back and darken it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay. So let's get those petals going. And move this palette out of the way. So I'm starting with this pink here that we mixed. And I like to, the point here, press down, and bring that out. And I did that backwards. I want to do that rounded point, rounded edge, and bring it in. It's pretty sheer. It's pretty watered down. So I want to bring a little more of that pink for saturation. So I've got my point, pressing to get that rounded edge, and then pull to get that point. And don't worry if it touches, that's okay. We'll be going back, but I kind of like the colors touching each other. And I know I have a lot of spaces. Let me move that up. Like, I have a lot of spaces between these petals, but we will be filling in with layers upon layers upon layers. And I still need a little more, as far as I'm concerned, a little more saturation. So I'm pushing away for me this time. It's a personal preference if you prefer to pull towards yourself or push away. But the main thing is, see how rounded the petals are out here, and then they come in thinner at the bottom. So see, I went backwards on that. and then pull to the point, or push away. See, I did that backwards. Pull to the point. So it's not looking very circular, but we can always even that out with the filler. Now, what I just noticed is I'm not using the peachy color. So let's get some of that peachy color and get a contrast there. And again, this is very sheer, so I may end up adding some more color to that, but I am liking the contrast. I'm going to add a hint of orange to this and a hint of pink to get our peachy color. So press and lift, press and lift, press and lift. Did you see how I turned the paper? And that's helping me see the proportions better. But this one out here is kind of squared off. If you want to, you could put a circle here and do a light pencil line and then come back and round it out. So you can see where these are going outside the circle and this one is not close enough to the circle. And I'm changing out my colors now and then, getting the darker pink and the peach. And you're getting layer upon layer, and the sheerness, this one's pretty watered down, so the sheerness is showing the petals of the other layers. Okay. So I want to take a smaller brush and get this darker pink, more saturated, to do these little ones up in here. Too runny. And these are so tiny that this is just too watered down, so I'm adding more paint to thicken it up. Because I do want some contrast right there along these petals that are just along the middle. And I will darken that, don't forget. I will darken that. This is when we get to the ugly stage and we think, I don't like it. And you don't give up. You keep coming back in with some color. So now I'm just tapping it to get some texture. I was feeling the center of this flower and it feels like velvet. It is so soft in there. But you can see there's texture and there's some yellows. So you want some of that white to shine through, and the water is moving it. It's pretty wet, but I saturated this brush with the umber. And I'm liking that it's running out here because it's giving that texture. And so while we're doing this, these are drying and I'll be able to go back with more color. And I'm not covering everything up. Leave some whites. Leave some of that peachy color showing through. And I'm really happy with this. I'm liking the texture we're seeing, the contrast we're seeing. You've got some movement. So I'm going to go back to the petals. I still do not love how much bigger this is than here. So I'm taking these a little bit outside, mixing again to get some saturation in there. And I want to even out this. My circle is not very circular. And I'm going to go ahead and go in thirds, because then we can go back and feel them. We're starting to get our shape Sorry, I'm going to go in fourth. Art, my thing, not math. Now I'm liking the shape better. I'm coming in with a little contrast with the pink. Isn't that fun? This is simple. Any flower that you do straight on, I think are simpler than, doing sides, but you can figure them all out. Once you have this basic flower looking down on it, then you've got it. You can go with any direction. Isn't that fun? You can always erase your pencil when it's getting dry. And I think I'm going to bring in, I never have seen leaves on a Gerber, but they always have a very long basic stem. I'm mixing 2 greens here to warm that up. So I used this one and this one to warm it up so it's not such a bright. Actually, you can see this one's a very, very soft green. It's beautiful. So I see already this is pretty dark. Let's do it on my test paper. See how it looks. That's pretty. A lot darker than that, but I can water it down and bring it down into that shade. And so you can see they're just a long, straight stem. And going back over it, it's really wet, so I'm going back over it, and it just picks up that color. And if you don't hit it like a straight line, you get that texture and highlights. So what I would do next is let this dry a little bit, erase my pencil. I may come in with a Posca pen, but right now it's just or a jelly roll pen to just give some highlights around the tips and edges. And then I like to use a Sharpie pen or, something fine line. And I like to, let's see if it's dry enough. I love to give a few little lines right there. And then if you want, now you can leave this, but I like to see a little more definition. Hi, Danielle. How are you? Good to see you. You're going to learn we're watercoloring a Gerber Daisy. And just the little vein lines. It's still a little wet, but this gives you that definition. And then don't forget those little back petals. Like backpedaling on a bicycle. Not really. I'm still trying to get the hang of these lives. I'm practicing often, and thank you, Danielle. I appreciate your support, and you too, Tara. So, y'all, I'm just putting myself out there and just doing it. Still working on lighting and audio, but I appreciate y'all, your support and showing up and telling your friends about what's going on over here. I miss you guys. Thanks, Danielle. Thank you so much. So you can start seeing now the definition. You would really want to wait till this is dry, more dry, and don't put your good pens in that dampness because you will kill your tips of your pen. Sharpies are pretty durable, and so I wanted to go ahead and show y'all how I bring in that detail. As it dries, I'll do more, and I'll even put some black up in here to get that thinner darkened. So I have a little contrast, you can see, with the real one. I still would like to see more of the pink along here, this pink right here. And then you could also tap in some yellow with a bright Posca pen. I think a fine point would look really cool to get these little yellow ones right here. So that is my beautiful Mother's Day bouquet. And I thought I'd show y'all about mixing colors. Look at the flower closely to see what you see and go for it. Next time, do a vase and add all the flowers. Thanks for stopping in. I hope y'all are well. Do you have any questions? Thanks. Thank you for that. What you love, Danielle, adding the lines, it does give it definition, and I'll be doing more as it dries. We'll tell everybody about Dwell 2 coming up Labor Day weekend. I appreciate y'all sharing that. And we're going to have an amazing teacher, Tara Collins, and we are going to have a good time. I'm sorry you can't make it, Danielle. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all maybe another day. Have a great weekend. Love ya. Bye.